Last week on 11 Fates, we juiced a cabbage cactus. It sounds great. Hunted Jules processed the first ingredient he needs to save his elder. Rowena and Cassilian had a heart-to-heart in between disposing of evidence and getting some sleep. It seems Cass has had his heart broken, not just by any old gal, but the god of nature. He once was her champion, then fell in love, and she was shunned by the gods, and he was shunned by the people, and sleep fell quickly after. Cass made Rowena promise to protect the pomegranate if anything were to happen to him. But at various times through the night, some strange things would occur. Jules talked to a reflection, which seemed to be an ancient ancestor, curious of his lineage. He whisked Jules away to view the homeland. The first place was something neither of them recognized, but only Jules was surprised that the massive buildings he recognized from his home could move. But this would not do. The ancestor went deeper and found the controls for the largest building at roughly 90 stories tall. They went somewhere in a blur and found themselves in a massive, sprawling city with impossibly taller buildings. A utopia, as the ancestor put it, and it could be theirs again if they could break free. Maybe not this utopia, but a new one. And then Rowena woke in the night to a better understanding. Suddenly, her book made sense. She could clearly read the strange symbols and immediately got to work with what twilight remained, engraving her sword and shield with strange ruins. Cass got a conch dropped on his head just before dawn. In the conch, Gary's voice emanated. Gary wanted to warn Cass because it seemed Cass was going to be at ground zero for a happenstance. Gary didn't know what would happen, but Gary didn't like Cass being there and wanted to warn him. Well, Jules slept like the dead until afternoon. When the group was finally awoken, a note was delivered, and it seems that local authorities were after a produce thieves, but a mob of burger enthusiasts were impeding the law's actions. It was advised that the group exit the city on readied horses. Exit they did, and a few hours north of town, they ran across G, their dwarf friend who seems to pop up all the time. Suspicious of how he always seems to be where they are, after questioning, it seems G is also suspicious, but of Wizard Core. He doesn't believe Core's timeline of a 6-week return, so G returned to the last place he could remember interacting with the wizard, the outskirts of Fallen Scale where the wheat fields end. And then the journey continued, only to find a locked-down outpost. A vile beast seemed to have beat another group of God's champions and was terrorizing citizens to the east. So our group rode off to save who they might. Getting to Bestellin, they saw mass wreckage, but found some good news. It appears all citizens were able to make it into the city's walls safely before true damage could be done. Tracks were found, and the heroes gave chase to what was described as a flying, fire-breathing beast. They raced through the night all the way to Aria, just in time to flank the beast outside of town. A chimera with a limp peacock and dog head and an active, blood-crazed lizard head greeted them. All hell broke loose. The vile beast bathed our party in fire. It ate the horse Rental, Jules' trusted steed. It even tried to fly off to continue its reign of terror. However, our heroes all showcased some strange abilities. Jules had golden arms burst from him with radiant light, suddenly able to punch well beyond his reach. Cass had a shade of a warrior, almost an interdimensional copy of himself, aiding his strikes. And Rowena's blade was able to create shackles of fire that tethered the beast, and when in the throes of combat, she grew to double her size. But the beast was slain. Aria was safe. The ragtag militia stumbled forward to better understand what the hell had just happened, and from the crowd emerged one individual, Brutus, bounty hunter with a dueling contract for Cass. And that's where we concluded last week's episode. Friends, did I miss anything?
No, that was a very good recap.
Really well.
There it was. There it is, and we're going to get into the next episode right after this.
But if I'm going to bargain, I'll take their lies and their secrets down with me.
A chosen champion of the gods.
Better remember the name Hunted Jewel, because the next time you see me, I'm going to be buying out the whole bar.
Welcome to the Tale of 11 Fates.
Yes, here we are in the calm of late night. Whether our party knows it or not, they rode starting in the afternoon quite a far distance. All through the night, dawn is actually peeking up, and somehow they got here beyond their means with their trusted steeds out here on the outskirts of Aria, the small town they've spent much time in. And they're greeted by not just a motley militia mob, but at the head of it, one Brutus, a seeker who has been hunting casts for some time now. And he strides above the crowd and comes up over the now limp chimera, the vile beast that felled a different group of champions, and he leans in. Right, Cass. You don't want your friends around for this.
Do you mean to say that you've been here the whole time and didn't think to help?
I've been nearby.
You got baited. Even I can see that.
Has it been a whole month?
Nope, that's about a half moon above us.
That's what I thought.
So, do you just want to do this now, or...
How about you all step a little closer?
Rowena takes like one step and is like over him for the last 15 seconds of this height thing. Just kind of stares down.
Right, you seem taller, don't you?
Hadn't noticed.
Right. Well, now that you've all come in, listen closely. As Hunted Jewel and Rowena Smythe as my witnesses, I, Brutus Surestrike, decree to one Caecilian Diadrove a formal surrender on basis of false contract. And you can just see like sparks starting to shoot out from his chest.
What was false about it?
Cass puts his hands up to HJ, almost to say like, "Don't speak for me." And then he turns to look at Brutus and goes, "What was false about it?"
I think that's the moment when Rowena probably drops back into her normal height and just has a moment of like just looking at everyone, just kind of puts her hands up like, "Yeah, what they said."
It's all right. The review's been started, so buckle up. Hope you don't get seasick.
The review?
And that's
Seasick?
when just a spark of lightning shoots out from his chest and kind of just globs into all of your chests with like this warm tingle. And then it just goes in on itself into like a ball of lightning between the four of you. And with a pop, your surroundings are completely changed. And you're now in a big wooden structure with like a wooden review desk behind you.
Am I the only one who doesn't know what a review desk is?
You would, yeah, I don't know why I said this like it's an actual thing. There's a giant desk that takes up like a third, like goes from one wall to the other wall and like is sectioning off. So it's kind of like a bar, but it's just up higher. It's almost like a judge's like bench, but it encompasses the entire like back third of this big wooden room.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I made up a word and thought you guys would know exactly.
You've obviously
what that
never
is.
had to go to that room in the courthouse, Nestor.
Well, I was gonna say I could clearly and exactly picture what you meant, and I don't know what that says about me, but okay.
Cool.
I'm
Yeah, we've
not
been
a
playing for a
fucking
while.
Anyway,
Ain't that the truth?
Bureaucrat. My
Well,
bad.
let's find out. Yeah, all four of you have now just popped into this entirely wooden room. There's one door at the far end. There's a door behind this like desk that stands like 4.5 feet tall. And like the back door opens and closes, and you can hear some stomping from below the desk, and it like comes up, and they go up some stairs, and then a dwarf is there with like some graying hair, and he kind of like sits down in a big chair, and he picks up this just atrocious like white wig and puts it on, and like smacks a little gavel.
Yeah. Cass takes a long look at him and says, "Hello, hello, your
Honor will be fine.
liege honor."
Quite sleepy though. Brutus, do you know what hour it is? He just kind of grumbles. Right. Anyway, why are we here? And Brutus kind of just like deflates his puffed up chest a little bit, crosses his arm, and like turns to face the judge and gets much closer. And he's like, I believe there's enough to warrant an investigation of contract created under false pretenses, and I would like to invoke the Seeker's right to preserve life in the face of a worthy foe. Oh,
Cass smiles. Cass like has a big smile on his face. It's like, fuck yeah, worthy foe. Like his ego is bloated right now.
And
he stands a little bit taller and
certainly I think we can do Brutus the original contract, if you will. And he like gives him the thing from within his cloak that you've signed and seen before. And he scrolls it out, and he pulls out like this bigger file like next to it and starts to begin to compare notes. Have them sign these. And Brutus turns around with 3 pieces of paper and hands you each one. Right, these are investigation binds. You won't be able to leave the city for the next 3 days while evidence is gathered. At the end of 3 days, you'll be able to come back for questioning if warranted, and then a decree will be made.
Two questions before I go signing any sort of legal documents. One, what city are we in?
Oh, welcome to Alpine's Peak.
Wonderful, great. Second, what does this have to do with Jules and I?
Your close proximity with one Caecilian Didrove has been brought up as evidence for the false creation of the outline of the contract. Frankly, I was led to believe this guy was a drunk, washed up retiree that basically needed torturing for a year. That is
3 of those things are true.
Certainly not the case. So we're going to do a little investigation. This is just signing that you do consent to the investigation. You really don't have to do anything. They essentially just get kind of a general reading of your soul's essence and essentially your combat prowess. It was all set up by the God Order years ago. But anyway, they'll warrant your abilities and jot them down and basically make an assessment of whether the contract falsely set up expectations, and then when I was assigned the contract, set me up for failure. If that is the case, the contract will be voided. I'll get to go about my merry way, and you'll be free from this contract.
I have a question. And HJ pulls out the map of where the dock and the cabin is. While we can't leave the city, can I go to this place? And I point at it.
That's not for me to decide. And hands it over to the judge. And he goes, technically yes, but technically no. The barrier actually ends about 3 feet into the steps of the dock, so you'd be able to get right up to the edge. But you'd be able to get to tier 1, where you'd actually be able to access said dock. But if you're trying to reach the end of the dock where that arrow is pointed, I'm sorry, it will take at least 3 days.
Well, couldn't we just, we're here. It's pretty convenient. It's only like 10 more feet. We all want to like expeditious trial, worthy foe over there. Let's just extend it a little bit. And
Your Honor,
limit my movement and increase theirs.
It's not really how this thing works. It's kind of an all or nothing, and it's based off the barrier to the eco in the town square. So,
Right.
I'm sorry, but
Brutus's
it does
contract
not
isn't with them, it's
fluctuate.
with me.
I understand that, but if they don't agree to a willing investigation, they will be unwillingly held in confines until the investigation is done, as they have been identified as interested parties in an active investigation of life or death.
What?
This is a contract that has one of you to the death, and so we must treat all active participants in the investigation as though it were a life or death instance.
Brutus made it perfectly clear that me and Rowena were not active in this at all.
We've been explicitly told not to get involved in whatever this is.
It is true, but the actions between you and one Caecilian have been brought into question, and you will essentially be used as a benchmark. I understand all three of you have been chosen by the gods in one cohort.
That's true.
Is it also true that you defeated a sea-level threat in the sewers of one Dawn's Rising?
That is also true.
Is it also true that you defeated another threat, gauged at a B-level threat that had already defeated another group of champions that outnumbered you 5-3?
You know what happened to those guys?
Brutus reports 3 of them were slain outright. 1 has a concussion, and 2 are maimed beyond combat.
We agree to the terms. Just get this on with. We'll find something to do for 3 fucking days.
Signature on the line, please.
Yeah, right. Rowena just, signs it, hands it back to Brutus.
HJ does the burger signature. HJ catters on the H.
Cass takes a pretty long time looking at them, watching them sign it, and kind of looks at them without saying anything to say, like, I'm sorry that you're involved in this, and signs and hands it to Brutus. Obvious remorse for his friends being involved.
Right. Thank you, Brutus. You're free to walk about the city. If you try to leave, you will be stopped by a barrier. But enjoy your time here. I'm sorry you won't be able to see the end of a dock for some reason. But you will be able to see it from afar. Please enjoy your stay. It's my understanding that you are members of the Adventurer Guild. This should help expedite it. And he gives kind of a bit of a wave of his hands, and all your bags start rustling, and your badges, 3 of your badges come out. So you were all given 2, and one of the sigils kind of comes out. These will help immensely. They record actions just in case of reviews just like this. I'm sorry, these came out of your bag. You do wear these, do you not?
The fucking badges are spying on us?
No, they act as a sort of body camera in case either someone tries to gyp you or out of a contract. It's okay. They tend to not record any sort of sounds or anything like that. They also become inactive when everyone remains calm. But it's more so for gathering evidence. Make sure you don't ransack a village, kill everyone in town, and then say that, oh, they were all sorcerers. I need 25 gold
whatever.
ahead.
Yeah, take the fucking. Rowena just goes into her bag, pulls out the entire box that was presented in Daybreak by the Godlight, and just chucks it onto the ground in front of the judge's podium. Here, take whatever the fuck you want. And
I already
just
have
heads
what
for the door.
I need. Enjoy your stay in Alpine Speak.
I'll get that back to her. But hey, when you go through mine, Fallen Scale, Iborger, superhuman feat happen there. Worthy of a champion. You're gonna want to rewatch it probably 2 or 3 times.
Right, you were wearing this when you did such an event, correct?
I mean, yeah, sure.
It
Uh-huh.
feels like, based on all of the things that just fell out of that box, you haven't opened these since you've been given them. I don't actually know how useful this evidence will now be.
Wearing's a relative word, anyway. Yeah. Okay. Are we good here? Can Cass come?
Yeah. Yes. I'll have questions in 3 days. You're free to roam about the city and Do what you will with your time. If you are all members of the Adventurers Guild, I recommend getting lodging there.
Okay.
Cass says nothing and just walks out behind HJ.
And Brutus will actually follow shortly thereafter and kind of close the door behind him and try to catch up to all of you if, Rowena, you do wait for these other two.
Rowena basically walked outside and just like waited outside. She just wanted to get out of the building, but while she's waiting for them to follow after, she is gonna rip her Vestal and Trade Guild pin that she had put on her breastplate off and sort of like spin around, sort of looking at it like she's never really looked at this before. The only time she and Arthur wore them was on market day when they were setting up, selling their wares anyway. And now it's just like swirling with all the questions and finally just kind of like shoves it back down into the bottom of her bag.
Cass pulls up next to her and like doesn't make eye contact, but just kind of starts looking around his hometown and kind of deciding what to do and says, quite a performance.
I'm sorry, was that a joke or a compliment?
That's when he looks at her and says, a kind of both now.
Well, hope Bruce doesn't mind taking care of our horses until we get back.
And I assume
Butch, sorry.
Mark, that I can kind of just like say something and have it be true and Alpine speak to a certain degree. Okay.
Absolutely.
I think that that as Rowena says that, he will start walking towards what he knows to be the best bar in town. The Iron Mug.
Iron Mug, absolutely. And it's as you start up this walk kind of as a group that you're actually able to take in your surroundings. You seem to be in one of the higher tiers throughout the city. There are all these elevators that can take you up and down at various points. The city is not just the peak of where the forest kind of stops and the Alpines can actually stop growing. It goes up the side of a cliff that you assume has the end of the ocean based on the maps. On the other side of it, there's 11 tiers in total. It's actually one of the smallest cities, but it's still a lot to take in with these tiers just built into the cliffside, connected by all these elevators. You're starting to pass by homes carved straight into the stone with well-made dark wood materials. The homes that aren't built into the cliffs have their own massive stone elements, as if the stone removed from the cliffs to make one home were then used to make two or three others. And it sprawls up and down as much as the city sprawls outward. Spinning levels kind of take you down to the limited ocean access down at like the bottom tier. It kind of like cascades, almost like stairs down. You do some counting, you're on like the 5th tier, which happened to be the place of the Iron Mug, the best bar in town, noted by the iron that actually makes up this entire tavern. It's almost entirely iron on the outside. It's got stone and wood elements kind of on the outside. And as you come around the corner, you can see the spire towards the center, and it's this town's elemental control obelisk. It's got towers on it that have elevators, but towards the top of it and above the elevators is a gallows plank, and atop the very obelisk is stone elements that make it look like a sword handle, and you can see that there are nooses ready from the tips. It's as functional as it is terrifying as it is grim. It looks powerful. It looks like a giant sword ready for a god to pick it up and just take it out of the town. And it is living up to its name of the City of War, Alpine's Peak. And right as you get to kind of the doors of the bar, Brutus actually catches up to the three of you. Look, I don't apologize. but I think I have been misled with your character. Maybe didn't give you two credit. If you'd like to pass the time, I could train one of you. Everything I've seen of what you do and how it's done, you've done a lot of good, but you've been surrounded by a lot of bad. I think all three of you are going to have to make some pretty important choices. So if you want my particular brand of combat, just let me know. Enjoy your drinks. You can find me back at the courthouse if you need. And he'll just kind of turn to walk away.
Hey, Brutus.
Yeah.
Do you know where the Hammerfalls live?
Oh, Mr. Hammerfall, yeah. And he points all the way up to the top tier. And you would think that any city, the top tier is going to be reserved for like the luxurious, military outposts, spotter towers, and he points up to the nice big building that is the commander's quarters, that kind of loom over and have the best bird's eye view with like a 360 balcony atop it.
Very good.
Mrs. though, she can be found shopping. Sometimes cooking. Usually yelling.
At her husband or somebody else?
Oh no, they split ages ago.
Ah.
Last time they met, he left with a broken arm, so he makes a point to avoid it.
Fair enough. Smart man.
Cheers. He'll turn to go again.
And then Cass, while opening the door for his two allies, will say, "You still want a beer? We'll be here." And he'll walk in and not wait for him. Cass is like secretly hoping that he'll walk in, but doesn't want to like set aside the fact that this guy fucked me up. So like but like in his heart, he's like, I hope he walks in. I'm gonna buy him a beer.
But yeah, the three of you enter, and it is real quiet in here. It seems like they may have just opened. They're waking up a couple people who like fell asleep on benches that they didn't quite see and telling them to get out. But there is like fresh bacon being dropped into the kitchen in the back. It's a nice big stone bar that has like a wooden top over the top of it. Seems to have been oiled quite well. You can see though lots of water ringlets throughout it. It's serviced many a people here. It's definitely not the warm welcome you're used to there, Cass, as there's not that many people, and it's definitely a different time. But you get kind of looked up and down from a younger guy you don't really recognize. Hi, you here for breakfast, I guess? Or a
I think this is the time when cat like it hits Cass the time of day that it is. I think up to this point he had not thought anything about that it was potentially morning and someone was going to offer him breakfast. And that's when he it kind of surprised face, but trying to act as nonchalant as possible, says 3 stouts. And
I'll take breakfast
3
too.
menus.
One breakfast, 3 stouts coming right up.
3 breakfasts, 3 stouts.
3 breakfast, 3 stouts coming on up.
And I will immediately take a seat at the bar.
Rowena
but
just
with my
silently sits
back
next to
the
you.
bar,
Yeah.
that I can see everybody walk in and walk out.
Yeah, you plop your seats down. It really seems to be some people who may have fallen asleep just after the kind of, hey, dawn's coming, go home if you have one announcement rang out, but they don't really close here, so they're not trying to really kick him out. Yeah, you can hear more bacon and eggs get thrown up on the grill. Stouts get poured, brought on over. Take it all in, watch people move around for a few minutes, and it's about 3 or 4 minutes after that Brutus does actually pop the door open and walks on in and sits at the far end of the bar.
Cass will just yell like towards the kitchen, 4 breakfasts, 4 stouts.
Head pops up, gives a nod, goes back. Younger guy gets to grilling.
Cass, are you really not going to take Brutus up on that offer? And like, I'm not going to say you looked a little rusty when you fought him back at the homestead, but you know.
Cass turns his head and kind of scoffs. You want to take him up on the offer?
I'm not opposed to it. I figure I'm going to need to fight people stronger than him at some point in my life. May as well learn how to do it.
How about it, kid? I have other things I want to do while I'm here. And so at this point, Cat's like leans back to kind of spot Brutus, down at the end of the bar. Do you mind taking Hunted Jewel as your apprentice?
He seems able. Happy to. I've seen you throw a punch, and I think one of these would help you. And he like gives a knock on one of the shields that's on his back underneath his cloak.
You ever want someone to take a look at those? Let me know.
Might take you up on that.
So, Mark, how long has it been since I was in Alpine's Peak at this point? Probably like 10 years, 10, 15 years?
I think that is what we
about
discussed.
previously?
I think it was in the middle there, so I think it was 12 or 13.
The same amount of years since I met Arthur.
That seems that's yeah. I think that's when I'll look to Brutus and say, so where does one go for oddities these days in this town?
Couldn't tell you. I get all mine officially sanctioned. Me and the civilians haven't really seen eye to eye in a while. Oh, there's a new guy in town. He's been hanging out by the docks. You might check in with him. He's gonna ask you to look for his family, but I hear he's good with those types of things.
And then he'll swing around in his chair and barkeep.
It's chef, barkeep, a little bit of everything right now. I don't know who the fuck he is, but
Chef Keep.
Yes, what I'm here.
Oddities. Where do I want to go?
Like strange looking fellas,
Good, the bad, the
women,
weird.
or like
Stuff. Anything.
Docks is a good place. We have people come in and out of there. We're one of the few active ports, so those that have boats use it. And you never know what comes in. Fruits, things. There's a gnome house on tier 2. Catches fire every couple months. That might be a good place to start.
Note this down here real quick.
Gnomes and ducks. Really living the dream up here in the City of War, then.
Yeah, always got to be ready for everything.
Isn't that true?
That's kind of why we're here.
What else you do for passing the time, entertainment and the like. You got any rowdy houses, or is it just the drinking and the swordplay up here?
Depends. I mean, oh god. Leave nights are always a bit crazy. Oh shit. And he like goes over and he like flips up a calendar. He's like, "Yep. We have a leave of absence coming up. So the cavalrymen get their breaks in about 12 hours. So I'm sure they'd be a rowdy bunch. You can always see what a bunch of drunk horses do. Oh god, what else? Anything? Nice hammer. We've got forges if you want to tinker. We've got learning houses here and there. Guilds can provide tutelage to pass the time. We don't have a great library, but we have, storytellers. Personally, I just work.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure we'll find something to do. Hopefully we're not going to be here too long, but we'll make use of the time while we've got it.
Hey, well, welcome. And yeah, the camera will kind of like pause there and just shoot up and give kind of like a nice big aerial view. And yeah, it's got like 11 tiers to it. There's all sorts of strange going ons. In the distance, there's the constant sound of combat off to the northwest. And yeah, we're going to speed up time here, get you all a bit of a break if we want to hand wave these 3 days. It sounds like, Jules, you're interested in training with Brutus?
Well, I was, but when I realized that probably means that he's going to teach me how to fight with 2 shields, I became a lot less interested.
I mean, we can craft your training towards what you're interested in. He's real good at throwing a punch. He just uses shields as brass knuckles.
I say, Zep, this is a gift. You better take that fucking gift.
I was gonna say, and if you decide to pass, then I think Rowena and Brutus are gonna bond over their mutual love of shields, and maybe she'll take him up on it. But
hey,
I don't want to step on your game. So
there is still time to change what you're doing. I can always start there with 1 Caecilian while you think about it. He seems like he's not in the Brutus hat. Caecilian, what are you leaning towards? How would you like to spend your 3 days in Alpine's Peak?
I think the first thing is that I am going to find a set of trees that are within my magical border here to camp out at.
Certainly.
And then after I've found that and set up camp, I'm going to first go to the oddities shop. And I would like to maybe stop by the gnome house first, since that's a good place to start, quote.
You make your way down towards the oddities shop, cruising along, and you notice a familiar face. Mr. Broven's here. He's got just a really grizzled 5 o'clock shadow, and he has a hand-drawn poster of his wife and son, and he's going up to people saying, have you seen these two? Have you seen these two? And he catches your eyes. Caecilian? And he comes up to you.
I need a brief reminder of who Roven is.
We saved his kid from the soul slaying.
He is Dusty's father.
Yep.
Got
owns,
it. Thank you.
Owns
the owner of the oddity shop in Aria.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's okay. Very good.
It's also a good recap for our listeners.
Yeah.
Pew 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 pew.
Yeah, I think when I make eye contact with them, I'll say, so the oddities business travels.
No, actually. I left everything behind. My family travels, though. You haven't seen them, have you?
Your boy?
And my wife.
When did they leave?
Just before we parted ways in Aria. They were gone in the morning, and I figured they were just out and about. But by the afternoon came, I found a note saying that they couldn't deal with the consequences of Dusty's actions, and so they were gonna go start new in Dawnsbreak. They were gonna catch a ship for a new life, and I followed like an idiot, and no one's seen them. No one's seen them in Daybreak, and no one's seen them up here. I don't know. I've been here 2 days now. So I'm just at my end. They just vanished in the night. I'm astounded she left me a note, and it seems like that note may not have been fully honest, other than they're cowards and they leave, and we're teaching our son how to be just a coward. He just runs away.
Cass
You can't
puts both of his hands on Broven's shoulders.
yeah.
Take a deep breath.
Thank you.
Have you tried hiring anybody to find him?
I spent most of my funds to get here on my own. I commissioned a few of these to hand out. They got the likeness pretty good, I think. But no, I haven't. But maybe I'm in a pinch for goods. And cash flow. You need things as an adventurer. I could shadow you for like a week. Tell you about oddities that come in of the port. They get about 2-3 ships a day. Strange stuff, small ships, big ships. I could help source things. Kind of like I could be your consultant, personal shopper. I could.
This is actually when Cass pulls off his cloak and puts down his bag and reaches in and pulls out the pomegranate and holds the cloak up and says, "Actually, I need information about these two things." And he puts the pomegranate in his hands and he says, "Here, let me show you." And that's when he pulls out his sword and cuts through the cloak, and like multiple very fast cuts, and then holds it up to him, and it's in perfect condition, and on it are new sort of additions to the tree tapestry.
Yeah, you can see actually down towards the foot of the tree of the tree tapestry, there is a cabbage cactus that now has a pile of swords next to it, that is like kind of supporting it up and are being like cast over in the shadows of it. This has been the first time you've inspected it in a while, and so there's some other things. There's like a nice little embroidery of those strange beasts that popped out of the road and attacked you, kind of in like a border in some of the corners, and even looking at it a bit more closely, you can even spot off to the sides a water elemental and then a stack of like 3 earth elementals on top of each other. It's been a while since you've looked at it, and it has its true form, but there are these little vignettes of kind of your travels all over the place.
None of Gary, huh?
None of Gary. No Gary, no Conch, no Wizard Core. There is something strange about it, because usually there's been like at least some pattern to connect everything. There is just straight up a green patch that has nothing sewn into it. And it is just a dot that's maybe a little bit bigger than a modern quarter. And that's the first time you've seen us more than like a 1/4 inch without a marking on it.
Okay. So I hold it up and present it to Broven and kind of give him the head tilt, like
you didn't slice through. This is fascinating, and I will happily research these properties. I know of some family trade and can help identify what this is capable of. It's incredibly fashionable, though.
And then I throw it back on and tie it up, and then look at the pomegranate. And do you know anything about that?
May I? And he goes to take it from you.
Yep.
And it immediately pales in color and loses some scent. And then he hands it back to you, and it returns once he takes his hands off. Oh, we have much to discuss, and we'll like get an arm like underneath your arm since you're holding the pomegranate, and like walk you off down a trail as the camera like zooms off over to Jules. You're ready. You've had breakfast with Brutus. He's kind of just been staring you up and down.
Look, Brutus, I'm really excited for this training, but I never thought I would say this as a kid, but the bartender said there's a library here, a good one.
No, the contrary. He said it was a small one. They had better storytellers. It doesn't have a whole lot. It's got a bunch of picture books. You might not be interested.
Wizards Guild.
Adventurers Guild. They house a few wizards, but
no.
not
You guys are a city of war, right?
Yeah.
Where do the mages live?
The mages live out in the training grounds. At least the combat mages do. Guild mages more work towards infrastructure, betterment of society. The ones we have specialize in ruin.
Okay, but are your mages any good? Like the war mages?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Okay, well, where's the training ground? I need to talk to one.
Sure. I'll sponsor you. This will seem entertaining. Follow me, and maybe you'll keep some of this fur. And he like kind of like picks you up by the shoulder and like walks you on out. It'll be like hiking. And he takes you off to this like trail on the 4th tier that connects with the main road. And it curls just around the border. You have to stay on kind of like the inside of this trail, and it winds up. Each of these steps are like a foot to a foot and a half tall. Like it's kind of like taking like 2 or 3 modern steps at a time with each step. There's a ton of them. You're climbing up real fast. You go up through the trees. You've lost sight of the city a couple times, and you eventually make it to the training grounds of the army in waiting. It is packed with barracks touching barracks. But thankfully, off towards the side of the training grounds, you'd actually be able to go into. You do see kind of 3 houses, and there's a big courtyard in the middle. And unlike everything else, has pristine grass for about 50 feet, and then everything else is heavily damaged from like combat, from horses, from people falling, from long marches. Like everything has been like muddy and gross and not well kept. And then you come to these 3 houses that are connected by this big round circle of perfectly manicured grass. Right. Yeah. Get to training. Knock on a door, see what happens.
Yeah, HJ goes to the house on the left. And
Great.
knocks on the door.
Like a little eye slot clinks open. There's just like 2 blue eyes on the other side. What do you want?
I'm here for training.
What, like
I've been
caster
sponsored.
training? You don't look like a caster.
Well,
Who sponsored you? Brutus sponsored you?
yeah.
This is a trick.
Look, I'm not a caster yet.
You just want to learn magic.
But I
Wait, you
think
anyone
that
can learn magic.
no. Look, I read
Well, you're
a book,
wrong. Everyone
I
can
read
learn
a book
magic.
called Unlocking Your Inner Weave, and I think I've got some.
Oh, big shot talking about the weave.
Yeah.
What type of magic you want?
And HJ realizes that he hasn't really like gotten that far. He doesn't know what types of magic there is. I've been airwalking. I saw a wolf get summoned. Are there other types?
You want to blow stuff up? You want to go far places, or you
That
want to
one.
protect yourself?
That one. No, the second one.
Second one?
Yeah.
Right. Fuck off. Door on your right. And he slides it shut.
Brutus, this is going really well. I've already been referred to another one.
Yeah, right. Go ahead. They're a bit more welcoming.
Walk up.
You
knock,
enjoy.
knock, knock.
Yeah, door actually opens up, and it is just packed with barracks, bunk beds and bunk beds and bunk beds. And there's an elf that opens this up, and I'm like, hi. Can we help? What's Brutus doing here?
Future caster here, ready for some training. I may not look it, but I promise that I can do it. Brutus thinks I can do it.
Oh, okay. Right, come on in.
Cool, thanks. Yeah.
Door's
What do we
gonna go
do
ahead and
first?
shut behind you, and we're gonna have the camera just swing off over to Rowena. You saw those two leave, kind of just hanging out in the bar. You got a free refill. At some point, Brutus does come back through.
Yeah, Rowena's just gonna kind of hang, and once Brutus rolls back through, she's just gonna lift an eyebrow at him and sort of like motion, like, would you like a drink?
I'd like a chat. Your friends are strange.
Yeah, did you leave Jules in a ditch somewhere, or is he actually off learning something?
He's off with some mages. Seems like he wants to go places fast.
That makes a lot of sense. HJ, well, I admire him, I guess. He's ready to go places. He's reaching for the future. Cass and I are a little too busy avoiding the past for that.
Right. Well, what's your future hold? You got 3 days to kill.
You know, there's a lot of things I haven't done in a while, so if you're looking for a sparring partner, need any repairs on those shields, or just want to keep your bed warm, I'm open to suggestions.
I think we could work in all of the above.
Cheers.
Clink of the glass, and we're off to the montage sequence. Let's get to rolling. I actually prepared almost all of these, so let's figure it out. Cass, you have some fun oddity things. So you want the cloak, you want the pomegranate, and there's going to be a third day. Do you want a chance at some passing through oddities?
Well, shit. Now I don't know. Because I was gonna try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but I wasn't sure how much of that you were gonna let me have.
What is that second bird you want?
The
We might
second
be able to
bird
fit
was
into
gonna
a
be is
day.
that I wanted to go to a weapon shop.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and offer a trade.
Sure. What trade you got in mind?
Well, I have 2 short swords, though I've only ever pulled out 1. I have a spare in my bag.
I think you've thrown a short sword before. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I wanted to offer some sort of trade with the gold that I have for a different primary short-range weapon.
All right. What are you looking at?
Let me just do one thing here, and I was looking at a trident.
Roll me a d20.
Okay, sorry. Not good. I rolled a 6.
And that's fine, because one of these days you make your way out to the shop, and Mr. Broven is just kind of your shadow for a couple of these days. And as you go into the shop, you start this haggling process, and he kind of cuts in, starts talking, starts chatting, tacks it up a little bit, and yeah, they're willing to do an even trade. 2 short swords for a trident.
Wow.
So essentially,
I did not expect to work. Okay.
You got to use Broven's skill for your roll.
Okay.
And it was against the smith's roll, which was not good. So he had circles talked around him on how he could sell 2 things instead of 1 thing. And he's like, well, that's more money. 2 used things instead of 1 new thing, though. Left that part out. But yeah, upgrade to a trident there, sir.
Sick. Thanks. Oh, whoops. I didn't mean to roll that.
It is all good. For the other 2 things, please roll 2d20. And I would like you to add wisdom to 1 and charisma to the other.
Oof. Okay. God. An 8 and a. Well, do I have to choose which one's which?
Yeah, apply wisdom to 1 and apply intelligence to the other, or charisma to the other.
Okay, well then a 5 for the charisma roll and a 17 for the wisdom.
Right. This pomegranate eludes both of you. What you've been able to garner is whenever this thing cracks open, because you think it's going to open when it's ready, because everything you've done to try and like even pierce it a little bit, nada. When this thing cracks, either something's going to go in or something's going to come out.
Okay.
That's what you know about the pomegranate. Cloak, though, fucking fascinating. This thing is evolving to your travels, your experiences, and more importantly, the longer you keep onto it, the more properties it's attaining. You may now, once a week, cast Pass Without Trace with this cloak.
Oh, bitch. All right.
So throw that on your cloak's description. And yeah, it's some research. It's talking over drinks. It's doing weird ass experiments with it. Not everything sticks to the cloak. It's usually tied to your actions. The cloak doesn't change when it's not around you, but it seems to always get better when it comes back to you. All sorts of strange things and properties. And like Mr. Rowan does like try to like keep it a bit hush hush. And at the end of these 3 days, you are going to need to give Mr. Broven at least 5 gold for dues and services so he can continue his hunt for his family. So a little bit of cost. But then we're going to zoom off over to 100 jewels.
Yeah.
So real talk, you want to learn just this magic of transportation and moving quickly your 3 days? Or do you want to take a day at a time and maybe jump around to these other cabins?
I think that HJ would probably focus on just moving, trying to get close to the airwalk, and also probably poking and prodding at like, hey, do you know anything about the forbidden magics?
Got it.
But I think that he's like really looking to like focus in on like moving around, traveling, going from one place to another. Like,
got it. Give me.
Okay.
And then either an investigation or a persuasion.
Okay. First Arcana is an 18.
Great.
Second Arcana is a 17.
Excellent.
And the investigation. Oh, wait, investigation or persuasion, you said?
Investigation or persuasion, whichever one
Let's
you
go
would
investigate.
prefer.
I'd rather do investigation.
Got it.
That is a 10.
That is a 10. Great. I need to double check what school of magic I'm actually thinking of for continuity purposes. Yep, that's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Because, like, what would be... I know the traveling spells have school. I hate spell school names so much because I'm like, which one's this? I think it's conjuration that lets you do all the weird movement stuff.
You're thinking of like the school for like teleportation and shit.
Give me
It's
Misty
usually
Step,
conjuration.
bitch.
Yeah. There's like with all D&D spells, I think there is one rogue straggler that is like randomly transmutation
Yes.
for no good reason, but all the rest I think are
Yes.
transmutation. Yeah.
So this house that you've kind of fallen into, you start learning about them. That's kind of what this investigation is for, and also about the forbidden magics. And they let you in on a secret. This is the most populous house because they need to constantly work together, because the good shit, good spells, the spells that no one outside of here learns, are the ones that they do together. With like-minded casters, they're actually able to reach powers beyond themselves. It's actually what led to the gnomes making all of the small folk disappear, is they got an absurd amount of powerful casters together and did an unthinkable spell that drained everyone who participated in it, but also had a worldwide effect. It was crazy, and it can compound on itself. They are restricted to only doing it with up to 3 people at a time. And at one point, they do end up showing you over the course of the 3 days where they're able to come together and they make a portal. And everyone kind of like gets giddy and stuff, and people like pop their head in and then pop it back out, and they're like, oh my god, it's so amazing. And they let you pop your head in so you can see.
Yeah.
And you pop your head up, and it's just this beautiful fucking area. It's got blooming trees of every season. There's snow mountain peaks. It's this giant island. It is so unfathomably gorgeous. And this portal has opened up just above like this spa. And you look around and there's just a bunch of naked women in this spa, and you immediately feel blushed and like pop your head back out. And you're like,
immediately.
What the fuck was that? And they're like, It's the Isle of Seasons. We don't know who those women are, but we go there for like the view of it. But every once in a while, there's people just bathing there. It's women this time, right? And you realize these are just the nerdiest fucking people.
Does everybody hate you?
What? And then like break concentration on the spell. And they're like, what?
They can see you doing that.
Oh no, you can't see through the portal. So like we
no,
pop our heads out, and they can't.
So they just see a head oogling them.
Oh, that must be terrifying.
Yeah,
well, we should probably stop. And they'll kind of like look around and stuff. But it then fast forwards to where they actually get to training of you. And these you've garnered that all of these people specialize in conjuration, of being able to summon things, and more importantly, summon yourself other places, things of that nature. It's also a mix of schools of magic, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, these aren't all the spells I thought they had. I don't have it organized by level, which is what I wanted to actually do. You are going to learn a cantrip, and with your rolls, you will be able to actually cast this in combat as a cantrip. You are going to get Produce Flame as a cantrip.
Yes.
And you have actually mastered it to where not only you can cast it as a cantrip out of combat, as well as in combat, and you have a better understanding of conjuration magic. Given the opportunity, you will be able to contribute now magical energy towards amplifying a conjuration spell.
Sweet.
Enjoy it. And then we pop on over to Rowena. You've started a montage with the one and only Brutus. And I'm sorry, what was on your checklist one more time?
The things that I suggested to him were if he was interested in a sparring partner, if he needed any repairs to his gear, or if he just wanted to keep his bed warm.
All right. One of those I'm not going to roll on because I'm a gentleman. However,
my charisma's not that good, but he's an ugly motherfucker, so we'll just come to a gentleman's agreement. For combat training, can I get 2 athletics rolls? Sure. That is a 15 and a 22.
Great. Awesome. That puts you into this fun tier. Go ahead and grab the Shield Master feat and apply it to your sheet.
Okay.
I believe that's the name of the feat. I think I wrote this one down from memory, not necessarily from the source book.
I believe I know which one you're referring to.
The one that lets you apply your shield bonus to your deck saves.
Yes,
I think that's what it does. Man, I don't know how to spell.
Yes,
be beyond
it is
autocorrect
Shield
for
Master.
me.
Yeah, it's Shield Master. I got it.
Shield Master. Yeah, you're gonna pick up Shield Master during all of this. And can you also give me a blacksmith tools proficiency roll?
Yes. Tools proficiency is just roll plus proficiency bonus. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that was cocked. We're gonna roll the other die because I don't like it when it lands on the edge of the tray. What's my proficiency bonus? That is an unnatural 20.
Very nice. Yeah, you're able to make some serious progress on like his gear itself. He loves the craftsmanship from it between all of the other activities you're doing. But really does just find these pieces, and he will offer one of his shields in exchange for yours at the end of kind of your like 3 days before everyone has to go back for questioning.
Okay.
Cool. The shield that you now get that you drastically improved of his is just going to be a pretty plain rounded one. You can change the seal on it if you like. I don't recall what his formerly looked like, but basically you get a nice round metal shield. This is going to give you a +3 bonus to AC instead of a +2 bonus. So you essentially have a +1 shield, but it is non-magical, but it is of master quality.
Great. That's fine, because my shield was not in. Sorry.
No
We're getting prepped for
worries.
that season finale because we're scared.
No, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's
But what
fine.
is not fine is various research on magical items, practicing of the arcane, whatever athletic activities have transpired over the last 3 days. They do come to a close, and it's about dusk when kind of you all get a summons back to the courthouse. And all 4 of you find your way in. Brutus makes it a point to stand as far away from you as possible. There, Rowena.
Oh yeah,
he, like, doesn't know how to.
No eye contact.
Mhm.
Nothing. Like fully on opposite sides of the room. Probably
guys
to the
being
point where the
weird?
other two notice it.
Why
Yeah.
are you guys being weird?
But
Where have you been? I haven't seen you in like 3 days.
Oh, look at this! Look at this! And he lights up his hand.
Oh, that doesn't. Oh, okay.
How
You can
cool
control
is
that
this?
roll.
Yeah. Oh,
You should probably
mind
not
if
do that
we
in front
get
of the.
to business?
okay. I'll put it out.
Brutus, your request has been granted. The contract is now void. You are free from your secret duties of pursuing one Caecilian Dryadrove. Caecilian, you will not lose your right to homestead any of your benefits from the city. This contract is here in sense void. With that, I do have a series of questions for the 3 of you. Brutus, you may remain if you like, as you've brought this to our attention. Right. What is your relationship with the Striped Death? The Dwarven Man, also known as G, also known as the Prince of Destruction.
It's pretty good.
Rowena just turns and like stares at HJ.
Same thing.
Please elaborate.
I mean, he's been pretty mean to us, but you know, he has his own agenda.
Are you aware of the immensely powerful nature of the bands around your wrist?
No.
I was told they were just a trinket.
Delightful. At any point, have you seen a change in those items?
Cass pulls his off and walks it up to the judge and places it on the table. Used to be all white.
It's still all white.
One bead change and then change back.
Rowena is just like lips tight together, watching the other two, not saying anything.
So yes, it's all white. Has this changed at any point? Right. You can hang on to your belongings if you so wish.
You're welcome to keep it.
What does it mean even if it did change?
It means that it's been activated at least once. But if it's still of the same nature, then it has not activated at all.
Then
Are you gonna stop talking in circles and tell us what it is?
I don't know that information. All I know is that it has a type of magic that is undocumented by mortals.
HJ is like trying really hard to contain a smile. I'll try and roll for it. It's really hard for him to do.
Please do.
Oh,
What'd you get?
what am I rolling? A stealth?
Roll that d20. Yeah, if you have deception, you can apply that. So I think this makes it a charisma.
Don't have deception, but do have stealth. So I'll just roll the d20.
Also, I finally realized the windows that I forgot to open. Everyone's character sheet. My God.
So deception, which is a -1 for me, it would be a 16.
Excellent. You crack it a little, but by the time he looks over at you, it's gone. Right. I will happily take this. Other concerning roads that you may have gone down. The rumors Wizard Cornelius, aka Wizard Core, aka Friend Courtney. Do they have any validity?
Depends on what you've heard. That they're a raging bitch that likes to cause a wake of destruction and demand things of people, then that's pretty accurate.
They kidnap kids too.
Yeah, that one.
You can see this judge lip start to quiver and just visually shaking. And did they confirm Friend Courtney and Wizard Cornelius are in fact the same Wizard Core?
Technically, if we're getting real technical, the person whom we met in a female appearance who introduced themselves to us as Friend Courtney said that they had taken on the appearance of someone else, but was explained to Jules and myself as being the Wizard Cornelius or the Wizard Core by the aforementioned Striped Death. They didn't deny it when we confronted them with the information, but technically the information of them all being the same was given to us by G.
Judge spins over and vomits into a bucket. And it's at this point you kind of take a look around, and Brutus is sickly white.
Rowena is just gonna walk over to Brutus because he's closer, because we're all on the same level, and just very subtly slip a cookie into his palm and sort of pat him on the back of the hand, and then walk up to the judge's desk and be like, "Do you need assistance?"
No, I would like Cillian Diadrove to tell me where he was for 3 days when out of reach of the psychic connection that the contract linked between him and Brutus.
Cass, I think, has been sort of just like staring down at his feet, waiting for all of this to unravel, and then he hears this question and he looks up. I'm not sure. But I am sure that it is where Wizard Core goes when he is not here.
Right. Were there any others there? Can you roll me a deception as well there, Cass? Just because I saw Nestor face, and I think that is also potentially Cass face. So
yeah, it was me mulling over whether or not I was gonna protect Gary or not.
Gary's your best friend. You're gonna just throw him out like that?
Whoa! He is Gary's best friend.
That's a good point.
A 4. Yeah, your face just has that involuntary reaction of like a smirk, like a grimace, and then like a 1, 2, 3. How many?
That's when he repeats the phrase, Sloled Wavan Noel Captator. A demon or monster or otherworld being who repeats that, and a miserable creature who will never stop talking.
Do you have names for either of these individuals?
Gary. S.
And like he goes and starts immediately searching for Gary, and he just stops and like almost breaks his neck looking back to you. What was that last name?
Estley.
Brutus faints. Judge just slams like the like drawer that he has shut and like goes back, slams the door behind him, and is just gone for like 30 seconds. Comes back, opens the door, slams it behind him, comes out, puts a chest on top of it, breaks like 3 locks off of it, pulls it open, and pulls out just this like weird looking sheet of paper. Esley. Right. I don't know what to do. I don't understand what could possibly be done in a situation like, and it's then that the doors just burst open and there is just amok out on the streets. You can see soldiers marching back and forth, and over the shoulder of some crier that walks in, and he just starts shouting, "ST level threat, dragon scale under attack. The waiting army waits no more. Mobilization must happen now," and then just shuts the door behind him, and it like pops back open, and there is a blinding light from the southwest that has now started streaking a beam of energy up into what is now a somewhat visible dome, and it catches onto it, grinds, and then shoots all the way from the southwest horizon line up and over Alpine's Peak and crashes into the sea with the sound of just panes of glass breaking as if underwater, and it just has this strange crashing sound that ripples over the city for about 30 or 40 seconds. How? I didn't sound the alarm. How is this possible?
Because they fucking lied. It doesn't take them 6 weeks to get back.
We are back into it, and all hell is starting to break loose. The city immediately mobilized. This door fell off its hinges, and the sight to behold is quite the sight. Various colored flares have been popped up all over town. At each flare, you can see groups of 3 mages joining together in hands and now creating these large portals big enough for 10, 12 people to go through them at a time. And through them are just squads of maybe 30 to 50 people running through in formation. In a matter of minutes, hundreds of soldiers have been deployed now through these portals. And after about 5-6 minutes of taking this in, Brutus wakes up, gets to his feet. The judge has ran off and seems to have grabbed someone to start casting messages about what the hell intel they may have just gotten about what could possibly be happening. All of a sudden, as fast as it started, town's eerie and quiet. Hundreds, if not thousands, of soldiers have now marched through and vanished. Even non-combatants, it looked like, went through most of these portals. Sickly Brutus has kind of just stayed behind, catching his breath, and you're kind of all just at the top of a tier. The flares are starting to burn out. Your lock on the city is now been withdrawn. By the fates, what have you 3 gotten into?
Love it if you could tell us. We've just been trying to live our lives.
That last name you had. Not Gary. I know plenty of people named Gary. I could give a rat's ass about Gary. That other name. It's not the name of any mortal.
I will swallow the sun with darkness.
That is the name of a missing red dragon from year 25. There's
Missing?
maybe... Oh, yes. Body never accounted for. Remains never discovered. The last known record was hundreds, if not thousands, of people having spotted it going into combat against the God of Light. Even the God of Light had no idea where it went. So yeah. And Wizard Core is why all this got started. Year 1. Crazed, powerful mage empowered by evil dragon magics that was able to rule and conquer over other mortals. Challenged the god in open combat. And then never showed. Left ruin and fear wherever they woke, and just never arrived for a duel with a god in year 1. A missing, unknown threat. One of the original causes for this cataloging of unknown and forgotten threats that may one day show up for the army of waiting to address, and now we have deployed thousands of troops. I hope it's enough.
Well, I don't know if it's a consolation or a warning. But, striped death is waiting for them outside of Fallen Scale.
I don't know. We've heard reports of their sudden good nature. We also know their stone death is in 14 months. As far as we know, they're a loose cannon.
If I think back to the way that friend Courtney presented when we first met her on the road,
Yeah.
now that I'm like really, because at the time what it looked pretty generic, didn't look like anyone that I recognized.
Mhm.
But if I think about it now, can I envision enough similarity between that presentation and the way that the God of Light presented themselves to make a connection there? Or does it
Roll
still seem
me 3d20.
it's a lot of D20,
It'll be fine.
guy.
Maybe, yeah, no. Pff, I didn't even tell you to add anything to it. Nothing bad can happen.
I know, that's why I'm a little wary. Well, you'll appreciate this spread. A 5, a 10, and a 15.
That is dope. You like think back and you're trying to like put faces and things, and the stuff that immediately comes to your mind is bumping into the God of Life at the burger.
Okay.
Bumping into the God of the grave and hearing the stories about Lefty's encounters. Every god is larger than life, is some sort of unknowable, impossible presentation of themselves and some sort of aspect that they have. However, God of Life was the most bland motherfucker you've ever seen. And the stories of what you know of the gods don't make it completely unheard of. That could have been the God of Light or a representation of the God of Light when they are not presenting as a fate.
Right.
When they are trying to act as a mortal.
Right.
And can I get perception checks from all of you?
Say 12 for HJ.
God, I'm rolling like, oh, fuck.
I also roll like the oh fucks.
No, this one turned out okay.
Oh fuck.
21.
Unnatural 20.
And sorry, what was that, HJ?
12.
Nice. It's hard for you to make out HJ, but you can definitely hear some like far off call being made. But for the other two, you can clearly hear fast approaching ship off the eastern side. Fast approaching airship off the eastern. Fast approaching multiple airborne ships off the eastern side. Battle stations for those of you in town. And like a bell starts ringing, and no one is mobilizing.
It's like, hey, Brutus, did you guys deploy everybody?
Yeah, we've never had a need to fight an S tier threat like this before, but we could. How's one expected to fight what? And he like goes running down to like the next tier to actually get a look towards the eastern side, and if you follow after, you do see an airship that is gray with a red tip that is now coming through what looks like a hole in the sky. But it's strange. It's kind of like you have the night sky as the sun set while you were inside, and you have kind of like the star pattern, but then just off is the star pattern just a little bit off to the side, so you can see kind of like this big broken hole just above the fog that rests on the horizon that's quickly dissipating, and this ship is coming out of the fog, and behind it you can actually see like a small island off in the distance, which you've all looked at world maps before. There should be nothing in a visible light beyond that horizon. That has been ocean for 1,000, 2,000, forever. And suddenly now there's this like mismatched hole that this airship is now coming through. And as it's getting closer to town, you can see just like these massive kites coming off of the side of it and approaching the town even faster than the ship. Hey, Jules, give me a wisdom
Yep.
roll.
Would love to do that.
Your favorite.
Thank God. 19.
There it is.
You have been spending a lot of time with like these mages, and they were talking about a lot of things about mobilization and things like that, as well as targets that they always tend to go for, and one of which is breaking up modes of travel. So if they were to ever siege somewhere, they would intentionally drop people on like the outskirts and then come on in, making sure to cut off things like trade routes or shipping supplies. And you remember that the thing you need is at the end of the one dock in town.
Yep.
And there is now an enemy force entering town through the seaboard.
Guys, I need to go get something at the dock. I don't know if you guys want to come with it, but I'm gonna just keep up if you can. Look, sorry, I gotta go. And HJ just takes off running as fast as he possibly can.
Yeah.
Cass turns quickly to Rowena and is like, what, with his arms, is waving his arms, shrugging, kind of, what the fuck was that? And then he turns back and grabs Brutus by the collar and drags him along and after HJ.
Yeah. Yeah, you beat me to it. Good job. Yeah, Rowena will just run up behind and kind of similar to when we were bailing out of the plateau in Fallen Scale, just like hands on both your backs, sort of like not actively pushing from behind, but keeping everybody propelled forward, just like, let's go.
Point of order, we got a long rest in those 3 days, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was thank you for asking.
Okay.
I was going to
Yes.
message
Thanks.
everybody to remind them.
You all
Thanks,
slept.
DM.
You did not stay up for 72 hours.
I mean, I
despite if you
kinda
wanted
slept.
to. Yeah. You have found rest in your own ways.
Thank you.
And feel recharged and rejuvenated.
Copy that.
Fucking monsters. But yes, you start making your way, running towards this dock, and the large ship off onto the horizon has all sorts of sails, not only upright but kind of off to the side at like 30-degree angles, as well as you can see very long, almost like an arrow, off to the sides of it, oars now, like just churning through the sky, bringing it closer and closer. But the three big kite-like things that kind of shot off to the sides and have been able to make their way closer to town, as you get down to tier 1, the first one drops a pod. It's about 12 feet long and like 24 feet wide, and just comes crashing into the earth behind you. So it's now kind of at like the border of like 1 and 2, and the top of it just bursts open, and 3 dwarves with just completely gray and white hair, gray and long beards pop up. The like measly forces that have been able to gather are like some militiamen that come through, and all 3 of these dwarves just kind of swipe their hands up into the air, and all like 20 or 30 militiamen, like the leftovers that weren't deployed, just all fall asleep and fall over, and are just
Slackers.
now a big pile of sleeping soldiers up on the second tier. You're able to make your way down further onto the tier 1. The dwarves there seem to have like dispersed, and as more people come, hands just getting thrown up, kind of like almost riding a wave of kinetic energy up, and they're just putting groups and groups and groups of people that are trying to report to the seafront. Sleep. You start making your way down towards the dock. I think you're beaming it towards your thing.
Oh,
So
yeah. Action.
because your map has it, and it's like under the dock on like the second to last post.
Oh,
It's kind of
yeah,
like
it would
where the
be
arrow's
dock.
drawn.
This cat ain't afraid of water. Instant dive. Like, don't just full confidence that I will be able to get it, and I'm just gonna dive using all of my action for movement.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Like,
Yeah,
like
also
also
get
willing
towards
to
that
use a
end.
key point for movement if that'll make it so I can get it in this turn. Like,
I was going to give it to you, but it is tempting to take that point away from you anyway. But no, you're definitely first one on the dock by quite a lead. You move 10 feet faster than everyone else. You go off, you bound off the dock, nice big old dive, and you dive down. water is pretty clear, is also very cold. But you can see kind of in this lower second to last one, there's, buildup of like various crustaceans, like the clams, the stuff that would normally be on the other side of the dock. But there's definitely some like bigger like offshoots that look very strange and bizarre. And you're able to make your way down there and start just clawing at them. And underneath all of these like scallops and clams and barnacles, you are able to dig out like a nice big piece of coral before needing to surface again for air.
And I want to hold it up to my ear. Do I hear anything?
Bubbles, you're underwater.
Fine. Yeah, and I go to surface.
Yeah, you definitely go to surface. You have that splash, that air coming back into your lungs, and yeah, the immediate up to the ear, you can definitely hear like whispered pains, like growing and swaying. These are much more guttural though, and like lower down. This feels like someone has a dull pain, just and it's just more consistent. It's more like it has a tone.
Mm-hmm.
Than anything from it, and it's just constant. It doesn't have that sloshy, high-pitched, breathy in and out pain that the juices of the cactus had. This is just a it's like, depending on where you listen to it, just kind of endless. But yeah, it's definitely there.
Guys, I got it.
And when the three of you get to the dock along with Brutus, there is a Jules that has like 7 or 8 inches of fucking coral in his hand. He's bleeding a little bit. It's sharp, but I mean, he's got some tough calluses to actually handle it.
Toe beans. Bob beans.
He's got some rough toe beans. Give me that catboy shit.
You're all fired. Every single one of you.
Shit. But yeah, you're able to kind of like get down on your stomachs and get him up and out of the water, and that is when 2 more pods land just off the coast, being dropped from, you look up, like 50 or 60 foot long, like arrows that are able to just pick up wind, and you look up and there just seems to be a crew of halflings just pulling on strings and ropes and things, and they seem to activate some sort of device that dropped these pods, and from one pod pops open, coming out 5 kobolds, and from the other pod opens up and pops out 5 goblins.
Yeah, Rowena points, looks at the others, and goes, "That doesn't exist."
But we
right?
saw it. We saw the ship.
No, but we talked about this already. The halflings have been gone for centuries. What the hell are those little dragon dog things?
Brutus just like finally gets his wits about him, throws his cloak off the side of the pier, grabs both of his shields, and just lets out a blood-curdling roar. The waiting army waits no more, and just goes charging into battle.
Oh,
wait,
fuck's
sick? Sorry, I just turned into a viewer for a second. Sick AF. I think actually, you know what? I think I'm just gonna take that energy and translate it for Cass. Cass looks at him and sees this sort of action and hears what he yells, and for like a brief second is overwhelmed with like the memory of being a part of the waiting army and the memory of being selected as a champion, and I think reaches from behind him, and this is the first time you guys see that, like, even though it's kind of a big object, it's like in his hands is like a sick
the cloth falls
silver
off of it.
trident. Yeah, I think the cloak probably helps hide it on his back. Maybe it makes it smaller, but like the second he pulls it out from his cloak, it's a full size trident that's there, and he throws the two sides of his cloak over his shoulders as though to like make it into a cape. and 100% chases after Brutus with that same roaring, like, like for the peak.
Yeah. You have now entered combat. Go ahead and roll initiative. The other two, would you like to also enter combat?
Rowena is going to look to Jules, kind of like make sure she's got his attention, and just be like, "Show me where you're keeping those," indicating the coral and referring to like the jar that she knows he has as well.
Like Jules, like basically puts the coral like in his belt, and then like palms his like cloak pocket that he's had this thing with, and it has like a zipper on it, which is zipped.
Yeah. Ronan just nods. This is the acknowledgement of like, I'm making note of this in case something happens. And then she just goes, "Right, so we're following their dumbasses, yeah?"
Yeah, I think we got to. At some point, I'd like to get on that ship, but for now, I think everyone needs to come out of this alive.
I don't think getting on the ship is a priority as much as staying alive. And like slings the shield onto one arm, whips out her sword, and goes running after the others.
Great. Go ahead and roll initiative as well. And it looks like everyone's jumping into initiative. Let me jot down some of your numbers.
So 22 for HJ.
Right. So yeah, anyone else above 20? Jules on there. That was a 16 for you there, Cass?
Yep.
Rowena, what you got for me?
12.
Nice. Brutus, we're slotting in here. It is big whopping 13. We've got
Attaboy.
Those guys there, and then we've got those guys there, and we got those guys there, and then that happens at that, and then that happens at that. Let's go.
Love hearing that. Okay.
I mean, he described like all the things.
I know.
So
Yeah, don't worry about it.
What
you say
initiative
that
is the
so
ship
often.
Oh, that's a good point.
on? Sorry.
At least
you say?
What initiative
Yes.
is the ship on?
Oh, so that's a good point, and added
And-
another docket
yeah.
to the list.
At least we know
Jules.
Brutus is in the initiative.
Yeah, Jules, you got the jump as well as the speed, even though you're coming from the backside. Let me paint the picture for you. You four are on a dock. We've got Brutus and Cass slightly forward. We've got you two just 10 feet behind them. Your first wave of combatants are going to be 5 kobolds that are lined up. Just behind them, about another 20 feet, you've got 5 goblins. And then behind them on the high ground at the bridge, at the kind of the area between this first tier and the second tier that you may need to get up if you would like to escape, we have 3 dwarves up on the crest.
Cool. I'm gonna run up to about 15, we'll say 10 feet away from the kobolds, and use a free action. So what are you guys from the past?
and then like one of them gets elbowed into the side. No, we've been waiting for our opportunity. Stand down. We don't want to fight.
Neither do I. Why don't you stand down? What?
We have an objective, but we don't need to spill blood. Stand down, as like all 5 of them brandish. Well, daggers in one hand and slings now whirling above their heads in the
Tell
other.
me your objective, and then maybe we can stand down. But it just looks like you're here to hurt people.
We've yet to hurt anyone.
Then tell me your objective.
Yeah, you can't do that in one combat. That's where they stop talking.
Yeah, I am okay. And then I'm gonna ready an action. Is that if any of my friends get hurt, I'm going to attack.
Dope. Clarification right now. Is Brutus your friend?
Yes.
Great. Oh, that was so fast. I thought you'd have to think about that one. Beautiful. Budding friendship.
You guys can see the weird awkwardness between Brutus and Rowena, and went, Oh, we should probably protect him. So they're going to talk about that
any
later.
friend of Rowena is a friend. Is a friend.
No, it's just because you guys want to
HJ's.
eat popcorn and watch that conversation eventually.
We want to hear that baggage get unpacked.
And remind me, how far away did you say you were from the kobolds?
10 feet.
10 feet, great.
I was trying to take notes on that map, and I have fully given up already.
I was
Basically,
taking
you're on a
notes on all
dock,
the-
and you've got a big old line. About every 20 feet is like a new squad, and they've got high ground in the back.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I'll just wing it.
It was more complicated in my brain, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going to keep track of this. Theater of the mind. Cass, you're up. You see HJ approach. He runs past you. God, he's fucking fast. It's annoying. And has like a brief conversation with the kobold as like you're running up, and you hear all of it. But he stopped at about 10 feet. What would you like to do?
I think since I have the trident in hand, I'm going to rush the one that was responding to HJ. And what I'm going to try and do is like, and hear me out, maybe this becomes like an athletics check, but it's like I'm going to take the trident and just scoop one of his legs in between two of the like points, and I'm gonna like kind of wrestle him and try and like, you know, like scoop him up, grab his arm, and try and wrestle him so that I can talk to him. Meanwhile, being unbothered by the rest of them because they see that I have them sort of as a hostage almost.
Got it. So yeah, this is going to be in athletics, and I will let you know. This would normally be like a combat maneuver-y type of thing, but I'm going to give it to you. But if you fail, you are going to lose control of your trident to this kobold.
Fuck. Are you giving me the opportunity to change my mind?
Absolutely. Like, you
fuck
know
it, I've
that
already
this
made
is
up
a
my mind.
risky
Here's the roll.
maneuver. Oh, yeah, get in there.
I rolled a
The
6.
waiting army awaits no longer.
All right.
Say, I love challenge.
You roll a 16 and you get it under him and you lift him up and you see his tail unfurl, grab onto the trident, and he just kind of tucks into it. So you get him up and then he drops down and whips the trident out from your arms and now has it bared in front of you.
Sick. Yeah. This is perfect. I'm actually totally in love with this. Okay, so that grapple attempt failed. That
Grapple attempt failed, and you've used most of your movement. You have a bonus action.
Oh, no, that'll be the end of my turn.
Great. And yeah, as just a free action, this kobold just kind of like shakes it like side to side and just says, "Yeah." And that is going to bring up the kobold. No, it is not. It's going to bring up the dwarves up top. So the dwarves are going to lock hands with each other, and then going to do like a wave like motion between them, and then all shoot their hands up at the same time. And it's not quite a wall of fire, but like a grouping of bonfires start popping up as like small like moats just behind the kobolds, and they give out the order of fall back. And so there is essentially a like wall of fire that is 25 feet long that are made out of like all these bonfires that just popped up, and now all three dwarves are holding onto their hands. And that brings us to Brutus, who waits no more. He is just throwing himself in. Rowena, what you got for me?
I just wanted to point of order that I did shove a cookie into his hand earlier, so if he wants to eat that, he will get 2 temp hit points.
Great. Yeah, I think he would have
He does not
scarfed
have to, but
he would have scarfed that down pretty much, like just before his blood curdling cry. He's got crumbs on his face. I'm going to give him those 2 hit points. And he is going to throw himself directly into 2 other kobolds just off to the left flank. He wants a way to get deep into the back line.
sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
and he just comes through and basically just both of his shields off to the sides, smashes them together, picks up 2 kobolds, and then makes both of his like shields clink through their bodies, and then just rips through them off to the side and begins progressing over the line of fire that just popped up. And he is making his way, makes his way clear over the fire line, and is now trying to engage with the goblin line in the back. That is going to bring us up to Rowena. Yeah, you just saw Brutus just clap 2 kobolds together and then throw 4 pieces in 4 different directions as he like burst through where their left flank was.
Just a lot of like nodding, like, okay, right, that's okay. This is where we're at. Cool. I think I am. Oh, I do not have range. So I think Rowena is going to run up to where whoever is closest to the kobold line is, so probably to Cass.
Yeah,
They
Cass
can
would
get
be slightly closer.
Yeah. I think it's going to be run up and post between where Jules and Cass currently are to kind of get in that like.
Yeah. You can basically form
Kinda...
like an L. So if you want to be up front with Cass and still 5 feet in between them, or you can be behind Cass and next to Jules and make kind of like an L formation.
I think the idea is going to be more like next to Cass and a little bit in front of, for the time being, Jules, knowing that
Right.
he'll probably surpass me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sword drawn, just post and ready action that if either of them are attacked, I will take an attack on whoever's closest.
Got it. And then is there anything else you'd like to do?
Not at this time.
So the kobold then, with the trident, just kind of shakes it back again. Declare yourselves non-combatants. Your friend has chosen his fate. And he will tactfully retreat, so he doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity, and he's going to back up 10 feet. The other 2 are going to back up as well, but the other 2 still have their slings ready, and they're going to chuck those at Brutus, because clearly he is a combatant. And they're going to whiff real hard. So yeah, they basically just, rocks go sending his way, and he kind of just does one swipe back and deflects both of them, just spins and like tucks down to try and like gore through the goblin line. And they have now retreated to the other side of the firewall.
Can I, since I didn't really do this on my turn, can I free action in response just shout, like, if you don't want to fight, then what do you want us to do?
Stay out of the way. And that's when he'll like disappear through kind of like the wall of fire, like goes down a little bit and then back up again. And then the goblins are going to swarm fucking Brutus. You know what's fun about them all going at the same time?
That you just roll all the dice at once?
Yeah, but also fucking pack taxes are fucking amazing. So yeah, 5 goblins with spears just kind of go in on Brutus, and he's able to deflect like the first 3 pretty handedly, and he gets 2 spears just into him, and one of these goblins just kind of like jumps up off the other side and just gets him like directly above, and you can see like their tiny spear just go in and out of him, and that spear went in probably like 7 or 8 inches like into one of his top ones, and he lets out a huge yell and is now surrounded by 5 goblins. And then the halflings go and have advanced their tracker.
Also,
1.
I think I have an attack of. I think I have a held action.
You have a held action to make an attack. Brutus was attacked. He is going to be about 20 feet beyond you. But there is a no longer a kobold. The kobolds would now be about 15 feet away from you. There's a firewall 10 feet in front of you.
Guys, are we just gonna let Brutus die?
We need to know what they want. They say they don't want to fight, but I don't know what they're here for. Cass, anything?
They don't want to fight, but they're still fucking fighting. And Cass is like still tracking his trident.
Nice. Actually, I'll take a perception check. If you could all, please.
Yeah, that is a 19 for HJ.
I also rolled a 19.
22 for Rowena.
Yeah, you're all
Nice.
kind of like surveying, trying to figure out what the fuck they're actually trying to do. You can still see plenty of people sleeping on the second tier. They seem to be in no imminent danger, but all of you kind of track up past the dwarves, and you can see the like hang gliders that were up there. The halflings seem to have dropped the hooks that were carrying the pods and have attached them to that crossbar on the elemental control obelisk in the center of town.
Of course, they're going for the ego.
Damn it. Yep. Okay.
And that is going to bring us back up to the top with Hunted Jewels. You did have a held action. No one was really within reach because the closest person was in 15. So sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, there's a wall of fire that's going to take a dex save to get through. There is 3 kobolds just on the other side of it. There are 5 goblins surrounding Brutus, and there are still 3 dwarves about 50 feet away from you.
How far away are the
as well as
dwarves?
The dwarves would be 50 feet, and as well as they're up another like 25 feet. There is like a lift that you'd be able to like hop into and then get up through the next round, and or you could try and find a way to get 25 feet up.
Yeah, I want to start. I think I want to start making my way towards the dwarves, and happily will use feline agility, double my movement to 80, and
Sure.
make those dex saves and start climbing up the and start climbing as well.
You had a really good perception earlier, so I will let you spot the trail. So a lot of these houses are built into this like cliffside that separates kind of tier 1 to tier 2. But in that there are like wooden struts, and you can kind of navigate almost like a path to like run up some support beams and make your way up. So it's kind of like you're just going up at like a 45-degree angle. I'll give you an acrobatics check to get up there.
Love that. Oh, that's a nat 20, baby. For a 25.
Smooth sailing for you. You pull some Jackie Chan shit. You like bound off of this stuff. One of the things is like kind of loose, and you kick off of it and actually create an easier path behind you if anyone were to follow it up, as you kind of like fortify the loose bits and just into like one thicker strut path that you'd be able to go your way up. But yeah, you're able to land up top. The 3 dwarves have their hands together raised up into the air, and the one closest to you, I'm going to say on the right side, just kind of gives you a bit of a side eye. Boy, you seem smart. Just stand out of the way.
Look, I'm gonna need you to take this fire down, and we can fucking talk about this.
They give a quick look to each other, and they go ahead and break their arms, and then they fall into like just a defensive posture, the 3 of them in like a triangle, and that firewall drops down.
Why do you want the eco?
We don't want it. It needs to be destroyed.
Will that stop the dragon?
What dragon?
Why do you want to destroy it?
So we can come home. And that's going to bring us up to Cass. Initiative order, short conversations.
Cass, realizing that the wall is down, initially, I think Cass was reaching for his bow, which now you realize has also like just shrunken down under the cloak. But no special properties or anything like that, Mark. Don't worry, you don't have to punish me. But
But off. I mean,
starts to pull it up and then watches the flame wall fall down and kind of tilts his head and looks up, notices HJ, and then puts it back and full sprints to try and grab the trident. And as he full sprints, he's just like, I just got this.
Sure, go ahead and give me an athletics to wrestle this kobold for the trident.
16.
You rip it out of his arms. This is like tiny little kobold. He's like 3.5 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah, you come up, you grab it, you rip it out of his hands. He didn't have a good hold on it. Like his claws are a bit too small to actually wield it properly.
No, I mean, I'm not even going to try and pretend that Cass is even thinking about dialogue right now. He is in full defend his city mode, and he will grab it and like kind of do a pose and spin it, and then just stab full force into this kobold who was holding it.
Go to town. Roll to attack.
Ugh.
That good, huh?
Oh yeah, an 8.
An 8 does not hit. He
Excellent.
flinches, and his like partner next to him with his empty sling just like grabs onto him and like yanks him out of the way a little bit. Like if they didn't have each other, they wouldn't have much. But yeah, this sniffling little kobold like definitely had the and like flinches. He thought he was gonna die, and his friend had the composure to like yank him over a little bit.
That will be the end of my turn.
Excellent. You have a bonus action if you want to use it.
No, I know. That's
Cool.
it.
That brings us up to the dwarves. We just want to return home. Let us.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I think if you had a talk with the city, maybe you could have came to an agreement. You didn't have to attack it. Look, just
You know so little. Yield. We don't mean to cause harm. If we did, they'd be dead. And they like gesture over, and there's like just 100 people sleeping up on this tier.
look. Why don't you call the attack off? Let's talk about it.
We did not draw first blood. He did. And they all point down at Brutus. And the other two in the back are going to produce flame and just chuck 2 firebolts at him. One is going to sink true and just singe the top of his bald head.
No chance I can react for him.
Please do.
I will cast Absorb Elements.
Okay, I thought you were gonna like yell out in pain.
And it's not a
throw out, like,
burger.
a fun
Well, you want me
cheer.
to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Fuck no.
Okay.
That's just like, oh, cool. This spell does one thing. Can I completely warp it into a different?
Absorb elements,
It's a reaction.
burger.
Target self. But knowing you want to do that, like maybe you could practice some shit in some other downtime, some other time.
This is killing me because I'm so far in the back and I have all the reactions that cover other people. Fuck me.
It's pretty funny. Roll better initiative. But yeah, he takes so those 2 fire away, and the other one is willing to just sit and have a conversation with you as you have yet to attack anyone. And that brings up the new combatant.
What?
So from up on high, you can see just like this 20-foot tall figure just leap off of the top tier and land kind of at the other side, and just drawing their head up is this loosely feminine face with like this neck beard, one breast, and just the craziest set of like wicked looking armor. And 2 hands go out, and just massive axes come to their hands. And Jules, you'd be the only person to see this, but the God of War has just armed themselves.
I was about to say, we definitely ran into this in Delta Green. It was not a good time.
And they are just going to slap their axes together. and the two dwarves that actually attacked Brutus just go sailing off into the ocean. They basically get catapulted and just sail like 300 yards and just start skipping across the surface of the water.
Shit.
And there's just a big gust of wind that goes past all of you. And there's now just one dwarf. And he looks over and just starts slapping his chest. Guard-mont, guard-mont, guard-mont. And begins chanting. Brutus is up and is going to flail at some goblins and is going to connect on 2 goblins and is going to essentially do the same thing he did earlier of just picking up 2 goblins and just like clanging them above his head, throwing their remains, and just, the god of war is with us. And it seems to just be in the thick of battle. There are now only 3 goblins that remain, 1 dwarf that remains, 3 kobolds. Yes, 3 kobolds, and that brings us up to Rowena. You can see the top, like, outline of someone on the 2nd tier, and like 2 giant axes in the air.
Can I get a sense based on like proportion that this might be a fate? Just knowing that, like,
Yeah.
Okay.
You've seen enough that you're like, oh,
Yeah. No,
what?
just,
Saw
like-
the
You also saw
dwarf
the
go
dwarves
skipping
go
across the
flying.
water.
Yeah, well, just between everything I've seen and the fates that I've run into and the stories I've heard. Oh god. Okay. Jeez. How far away from me are like Cass and Brutus at this point? Because I think I know HJ's further away because he's at the dwarves. but-
Yeah, he's up top of the dwarves. He would be like 45 feet away. Cass would be like 5 feet in front of you, or
Okay.
10 feet in front of you, because he went up to the goblin that was behind that wall. And then Brutus is like 25 feet in front of you.
Okay. This is as all of this is happening, Rowena is just kind of looking around, and this is kind of the worst nightmare scenario of just every level of this is something she does not want to be involved with and is completely counter to her desire to just disappear. So I think she's just gonna charge up full 30 feet of movement, get like up right kind of in line or a little bit ahead of Brutus and try to sort of like plant her shield, sword at the ready in a defensive move, but kind of turn back to Brutus and Cass and just be like, if we keep going with this, there's no going back. I don't know what's happening, but maybe we should get a better idea of what's going on here. And then we'll kind of turn generally out to anyone and just be like, what is it that you want?
The goblins are the closest, and one of them is able to like catch your eye. We just want to come home.
What's home? What does that
Here,
mean? What
we
does
were banished. We just want to come back. Our ancestors talked of this land, destroy the obelisk, and we can be one people again.
banished to where? What does that mean?
And that's going to bring up the next in initiative. The kobolds, who are going to lash out at Cass.
Because I made myself a threat.
Mhm. 18's going to hit,
Yeah, sure.
and a 13.
That will tie, which will
No.
hit.
Great. And then the other one is less than that.
It's hurty.
Kobold damage is not a whole lot. But yeah, the 2 kobolds that you didn't attack basically lunge forward and try to connect off to the sides of each other and stab in, and you are going to be taking 8 points of damage in total from 2 daggers. 1 on each side, and then they kind of pop back out and just form their own little triangle.
I think I think that like he gets slashed up and reacts with pain and then kind of like laughs and is like just really having a good fucking time.
It's good to
You
be in a
know,
battle
and-
again.
and he gets slashed and he kind of and then he like readies up again. And that's for you, Alondra. You can cut that one up.
Oh, I'm gonna have so much fun with that.
Cut it up.
many-
Get it? 'Cause you got
So many
cut
good
up.
Foley's
Uh-huh.
from my vocals.
And
tonight.
I'll even record that one for you, studio sesh style, if you need me to later.
I don't know. This is perfect. I love it.
Studio, he'll give you 8 different laughing options.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna clip it, pitch shift it, reverb it, and just echo it through the background.
The auto tune
If you
remix
don't-
is coming
you know-
up for Patreon
you-
subscribers.
Yeah, you know that if you don't now, I'm gonna be real annoyed.
Yeah, subscribe to our Patreon to get all of my behind the scenes sound effects that didn't make it into the final cut.
Right.
Also, try to watch us on YouTube for all my reactions I did for all those dice rolls I just made. The 3 remaining goblins, while Cass revels in the delight of war, seem to have figured out one Brutus quite well.
Uh-oh.
2 of the 3 goblins crit. Both of them roll max damage.
Yeah, I bet they did.
And Brutus gets his guard dropped by the first one as he kind of like overcommits, and the other 2 just jump out to the sides and shish kebab an X right through just his rib cage.
Except that,
Oh, you have a reaction because you're close enough to him.
Yeah,
and not
that's why I
Cass,
said
JK. There are
except that.
2 crits and a miss on him right now.
So one of those crits, they try to do that. And one of those crits instead suddenly feels a force as I throw the shield up. This is the one that I got, I traded with Brutus. And this just, like, I don't know, like, wave of almost like fog just bursts out of it and slams into one of them. And it's going to force him to instead target one of his compatriots as the target of his attack.
Go on.
As the rune that I experimentally inscribed into the back leather strap of this activate.
Love this. So making up mechanics on the fly, since they all went at the same time, it's hard to tell what happens first. So do you want high or low?
Low.
Since there's 2 of his compatriots. Great. So low. So I'm going to roll a d6, and on a 1, 2, or 3, he's going to be critting the one that's critting Brutus.
Gotcha. I'm
And
tracking.
on a 1, the deflected attack will go before the other goblin's attack.
Okay.
I had to take it out because, of course, I roll the 1. So Brutus is going to take no damage as this goblin that's a little bit faster, you see, just has this wicked kill shot, and you do this. It spins Brutus around. His shield just bats off one spear, turns this goblin around. The spear just goes straight past and into his compatriot, and he just crits right on through this other goblin. There are now 2 goblins that remain. Excellent use of a reaction.
I don't get to use them that often because everyone's usually ahead of me. So
Offbeat Outlaw would be proud of you for that.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just negated 2 crits with one reaction.
I am
I
delighted.
got overzealous and deserve it. So that's why I had to
Yeah, I was
talk
gonna say,
out if I
that's-
was going to roll a 1, and it happened. I
That
put it
that's
out
on
there.
you, but I appreciate your willingness to own those crazy mechanics.
Speaking of crazy mechanics, a legendary action is about to be taken. The God of War is going to just take both axes and throw them, and is going to take out 2 of the halfling gliders that have attached on to the sword handle type thing on top of the obelisk, and just get blown out of the sky. And instead of getting the axes back, they just sail off and disappear, and then brings out just like one overly massive claymore after that to rearm themselves.
Oh, jeez.
And that is going to bring up the one remaining halfling squad who is now retreating because they are terrified. The ship has gotten closer, and we are at about time to end the episode. So in dramatic fashion, at the end of this initiative order, there's just a pop behind the god of war, who then shrinks down to about 7 feet along with their claymore. And they look visibly confused. And they step off to the side and look behind them. Gary's here to play! And is just waving maniacally behind the god of war.